Hi everyone, I'm Arisa, a developer relations engineer working at Storyblok. So first of all, welcome to the Stories from the Block 6 Woman in a Tech edition. And I would like to start by sharing the key messages from us that we have and our event content. First of all, here's the background of the event and the messages we want to share with you. We wanted to host Women in the Tech edition to inspire and empower women to work in tech industries by telling them that you can be whoever you want to be. To make it very interactive, we will host a live panel discussion in a few minutes from now on. And we invited women who work in different fields in tech to talk about their experiences and their journeys, as well as learning more about their work journeys. As one of the women in tech, I would like to start to share my story as a warm-up before the live panel discussion, because I believe that sharing many stories makes people or everyone to find their close role models. And finding the role models, that's the key that I was able to walk through my journey. And so here is my story. So first of all, I always start, by telling my stories back into always like 2017, because that's the year I started to consider about changing my career from flight attendant and becoming a developer. So there's always a question that I get to be asked, like always, like why suddenly from out of nowhere from flight attendant and developer? It's not like just I came up with the idea by waking up in the morning, like, I want to be a developer. No, it's not like that. I had the good reasons. So first of all, I'm really concerned about my future as working as a flight attendant because I felt that this job is interesting, but at the same time, really, really challenging for myself. So I considered that if I wouldn't be able to work longer than 1 year or so, then maybe I should consider to change the career. So I was I was looking at the jobs, and at the same time I was keep applying for customer service job because that's what I thought is related. Unfortunately, it really gave me hard time to find the jobs, and every time when I got rejections, the reasons were the same. It's not as relevant as working in the aviation industry. So this also gave me another heads up. For example, like, okay, then probably I should find some other, like, categories of the job. For example, like something very highly demanded in everywhere in the world that people really want to hire you, regardless of the backgrounds of the, for example, degrees or not. So these two requirements narrowed me down to reach out to one dream job that I wanted to change my career, which is actually a developer job. So I'm always kind of person testing out to see whether I would like to continue these kind of things or not before I set up my mind with some stereotypes that, okay, this is not something for me. So programming was not an exception. I gave a try by studying, first of all, a very simple HTML and CSS and built a very simple landing page. And more than I expected, I really loved it. So that's why I was able to believe in myself strongly that, okay, I really love doing programming. So if there's something like, I don't know, very hard, like challenges waiting for me in the future, I think probably I would be able to survive with my skills if I gain the skills correctly. So that's the moment I decided, made my mind to resign my flight attendant job, and then fully committed myself to study front end development for 2 months and a half in an online programming school. And that's the place where I met my first mentor, and he was my role model because he was already walking a I would say a journey that I dreamed of doing that. Means that he was working as a freelance front-end developer, and he came from the background of no computer science degrees at all. And at the same time, he was teaching students to, like contribute to educate the future potential developers. So that's what exactly I wanted to do. And it gave me a lot of courage that, or it made me believe that I can also do that, because he also used to be working in a different sector of the jobs, and he made out his way. So if he could do that, probably I also could do that. So that's why I gave a try, asked a lot of questions to him, because he was the only person, like closest role model that I had. If I say a little bit selfish wish, back in at that time, I wish to have a role model who is actually a woman like me, and working something that the path that I would dreamed of doing that. But it was really hard at that time to find someone like that. So I stopped looking at it, to be picky, because it's better to have at least like a few, or at least one person who I actually could ask. So eventually I started to gain the connections through communities. So I was able to find the clients by myself or through communities. And then there, I was being able to be involved to build up a programming school, an online programming school, with someone who was looking for another person to help him. And in this online programming school, I also was able to work with multiple numbers of developers. But again, it was really hard to find someone like me, coming from the non-technical background, and also a woman working as a developer. And I felt that at that time, because I started to teach the students, and I taught over 50 of them in total. But at that time, I already felt that, okay, I do not have a role model who is actually a woman, similar background with me. But at the same time, I am already a role model for my students. So it was a quite pressure that I do not have someone to look up to, but there were people who were looking up to me and also learning from me. So I had a little bit of struggleness at the time, and it gave me a lot of like courages, more than the courages that I had to take to, to step up my career. In the meanwhile, women in tech movement started to be a little bit famous. So I would say like from now on, like 2 years or 3 years before, back in that time, I started to be able to find women in tech related communities finally. And I believe that that was kind of the time that people started to be able to find such kind of communities. And since then, my life became so much easier because I was able to find much more, I would say, close role model who has the similar background or profile with me, so that I could look at, for example, like, okay, this would, if this person and I could do that, then I also could do some kind of, and I even could get to ask some of the questions to them directly. I even was able to make a good friendship in there, or even able to find some job opportunities over there. And that's actually the time I started to look for some of the opportunities to speak in tech conferences. And last year was the year I started to finally give talks. And I was looking for an opportunity, and I got to speak one of the conference that I dreamed of speaking at. And that's the moment my colleague found me talking, and he asked me, are you interested in to work as DevRel at Storyblok? So that's the reason why I got the opportunity in here. So long story in short, the takeaway for you from my journey is that find someone you could look up to. It doesn't matter like what kind of levels they have, what kind of careers they walk through. Doesn't matter. Just find someone who you could look up to, and ideally, like find someone who you could ask the questions you have. So find your role model, and build connections in communities. And that's the place where you can find the role models, as well as you can gain your skills in there and the connections. So I hope you will find something to take away from this event, not just from my stories too. And next up, we asked women or who identify themselves as one about their opinion on women in tech. And from here, my colleague Rita, she will take you to the state of women in tech to share the survey results. Over to you, Rita.